is ready to go to Montana. When my husband Jesse asked me, hey, do you want to do a road trip to Montana for a wedding? I was like, yes. I didn't even ask him whose wedding it was. I was just like, yes, let's go.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Hey, darling, I love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for two. Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far.
Hello, Montana. I had no expectations going into Helena. I didn't know anything about Helena other than that it had an antique store called the Golden Girls. And I follow them on Instagram, so I knew I had to stop there. We found it. Golden Girls Antique Mall. It's so fun to finally be in a store that I've been looking at pictures on Instagram for a long time. It's kind of surreal when you finally get to walk in the doors and be at that store. This piece right here is really beautiful. It was only $30 and it looks like it's pretty old. I think this is probably Art Deco. Doesn't have any markings on the bottom, but I think the shape of it and the design on it is really, really cool. And I like that it's kind of a statement piece, but also very neutral. It is always so fun when you're on the road and you come across things that remind you of back home. And a lot of you guys probably remember the Oregon Myrtlewood perfume bottles that I found on my Oregon coast trip. I think these are so classic and timeless. They are only asking $7. I think it would be really beautiful to have a whole collection with different sizes and shapes and put all of your favorite perfumes lined up across your vanity. I get questions all the time on my vintage brass filigree earrings, so I'm gonna be picking these ones up here to add to my shop sale. They're asking $33, so I don't have a lot of margins, but they are so beautiful. And I know so many of you guys have asked if I would sell the ones that I have. So I'm not gonna sell mine, but I will be having these come to my next October shop sale.
The color on these glass jars is so beautiful. I think this would look absolutely stunning on an open shelf in a kitchen. They've got $179 and it looks like these are designer from the 1960s. Absolutely gorgeous. We've only been in the store for 5 minutes and I have already lost Jesse. I'm sure he found a booth somewhere with a bunch of records. He's on the hunt for a couple specific albums that are really hard to find. So he's probably found some boxes to dig through looking for those. I expected that since we were in Montana that there was going to be a lot of rustic and farmhouse decor, and I'm not wrong. There is some really good old stuff here though. I have a lot of friends back home that are really into farmhouse and antique pieces, and I think that they need to come to Montana. This little camel is so great. So these are actually for putting your saddles on. And I'm pretty sure that they originate from Morocco and they were used for camel saddles. I have sold a few of these when I had a vintage mall space, and they've got $122 on here, which is a really good price for one this large. You can put a full-size saddle on it. When I had my vintage store, I would put a cute little kilim pillow on the top, and they make great footstools too. This lamp reminds me so much of one that I had in the 90s. Sometimes I can't tell the difference between the ones that were from the 60s and the ones that were reproduced in the 90s. This one here I kind of think is newer. Yeah, this tag on here looks like it's probably from the 80s or 90s. I found my vendor over here. I found my space. Found my people. Oh, look. This is spun fiberglass. Brass. All right, how much is this going to be? How much do you think it's going to be? 40? 200? 75. Not terrible. There is so much rustic farmhouse here. I really think that this is a piece that I could see Emily Henderson putting in her house. She's one of my favorite interior designers. It is a yarn winder. So do you wrap your yarn around it and then you spin it? Ooh, that's kind of interesting. I might have to YouTube that. I've never seen that done before. But anyways, I could see Emily putting this in her home. She's always posting really cool, primitive, rustic pieces. All right, you guys, we have a winner. This is identical to the one that I have, and they are calling it a napkin holder. So we're gonna go with the final decision for the one that I found is that it's a napkin holder. Oh, and here's a little piece of home, Oregon. I have been obsessed with anything with a lucite handle on it lately. If you guys knew how hard I tried to get slow, beautiful panning shots so I don't make you guys dizzy, you'd be so proud of me. I move really fast, and it is so hard for me to not turn the camera and whip it around every direction when I see something beautiful. This is so gorgeous. They are only asking $12 for this, and it looks like a hand-painted tray. That would also make a really beautiful piece of art because I would almost worry about setting anything on top of it that it would ruin it. But it's beautiful colors and very bohemian. Such a pretty piece. I could so see this pillow in a kid's room on a bed. They've got $22 on it, and this is all hand stitched. I think the use of color and kind of the abstract design with the mountain is really fun. I really think that'd be cute in a kid's room. love this lamp right here. Oh my gosh, it's only $48, babe.
Did you already spot it?
Oh, I was like, spot what? I'm looking at the lamp. There it is, you guys. Technically, that one's a Jessie spot, though. Even in Montana. This top is coming home with me. These are some of my favorite tops to find. They're from the 1970s. And I don't know about you guys, but I am obsessed with patchwork design right now. I think this is gonna be great to wear this fall. On the very bottom shelf, I spotted these vintage Fry boots, and I love the color on these. The fact that they're already broken in makes such a difference when you wear them. It makes them so comfortable. These ones are size 9.5, so they're a little bit too big for me. So those will be coming to my October sale. And I'm gonna try really hard to have a bunch of vintage clothing for you guys so that you guys can be ready for your fall fashion. This tablecloth is interesting. I think somebody added the burlap to it after the fact, which is funny because I don't typically like burlap. It's a little bit too rustic for me, a little farmhouse, but I love that it was added to this bohemian piece because I actually think the fringe works really well. Maybe it was original. I don't know. I've just never seen one with the burlap before. So many dealers at the store were having really great deals. What's funny is I actually didn't realize that this sign went with these pillows down below. One of the things that I was really hoping to find on this trip were some really good textiles. These pillows are priced at $32 and I think $38 on the larger ones. And these are the true authentic antique ones. A lot of times you see the new Killam pillows from Turkey and they are beautiful, but they're not the real old antique ones. I think that these were probably originally made out of saddle blankets or even grain sacks. And these are my favorite kind to find, and I don't find them very often, and I don't find them for this good of a price. A lot of times I will see these being sold at flea markets for upwards of $150. Grabbing all three of these. All of my finds here at Golden Girls go so well together, and I feel like this is me in a pile of beautiful vintage.
We walked around the downtown area. We saw another couple getting married at the cathedral, which was just stunning. And we decided it was time to have some lunch. So we found a restaurant called Bert and Ernie's.
Yeah, they're house-made pita croutons. Those look delicious. Big old chunks of artichoke, sweet potato fries. Chicken strips look good. You got the kids menu.
I know, I ordered from the kids menu.
That was one of the best Mediterranean salads I've ever had. It had huge chunks of artichoke in it. So good, and the service is amazing. Highly recommend this place. I love, and I love weddings. So I was so excited to go see our friends Paul and Victoria get married in Montana.
I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea. I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal.
husband and wife.
And I'll stay by you. I don't wanna fight with you, baby. Calls me out when I cause you pain. You don't hesitate and you shoot me straight.
The wedding was magical. The bride came in on a pontoon boat. They're both musicians, so at the end of the night, they performed a song together. Another thing I love about weddings is it brings everyone together, and we had so much fun reconnecting with a lot of our old friends, and we already have a lot of plans to go back to Montana, maybe do an annual thing on the lake. Everyone was planning on having a lake day on Sunday, and I knew that was the perfect opportunity. Not that I didn't want to hang out with everyone and have fun, but that was the perfect opportunity to sneak away and go hit all of the thrift stores and pawn shops.
We are kicking off our Montana picking trip with Goodwill. I have been told so many times here on YouTube that we have the best Goodwills in the Pacific Northwest. And today here in Montana, we're gonna find out if that is true. Let's get inside and see what they've got here. All right, I'm excited to see what Goodwill in Helena, Montana has to offer. The first thing that I spotted was this little bag. It's kind of silly, but I thought it was fun, and I'm doing a huge vintage market in a few weeks, and I'm trying to bring a lot of fall and winter items to that flea market, so I think this would be perfect for me to bring to that. But it's never too late to have a great little summer bag. This one is a crossbody bag and it's only $3.99. It's got this adorable little hand-painted critter here, and it's got the nice old leather straps. So for $3.99, it's got some great coloring on it. I think I'm gonna grab that one too. One of the things I used to sell a lot of at the Portland flea market were leather belts. I would typically get those from the Goodwill bins, and they would be 20, 30 cents. They'd be really, really good price. But I haven't made it to the bins lately, and I think that this would be a great one to bring with all of my fall clothing to the Rose City Vintage Market. If you guys have followed me for a long time, you know that one of my biggest passions is saving things that may end up in a landfill or just thrown away in the garbage because they aren't in perfect condition, and a lot of people just don't want to take the time to restore them and bring them back to their glory. Well, I think that these wooden canisters that are only $1.99 might need a little bit of love and a little bit of wood oil, but I think that they are going to be so beautiful once they're all cleaned up, and they're only $6 for the set of 3. Oh, I love the little bumps on the base of this pedestal planter. It's handmade, it's $1.99, and this kind of deep burnt orange color is perfect for styling in the fall. I think that one is going to be a fun one to style up when I get home. We do not have these little plastic baggies at our Goodwills, and there's something that I really love because you know I love to dig and hunt for the treasures, so I think it's extra fun when you have all of these little small trinkets packaged up perfectly and you kind of look through them, see if you can find anything good. I'm like a little child. I always think that these are so fun. There's lots of little arts and crafts in them, all kinds of little trinkets, spoons, toys, little wooden things you can paint. Who knows? You never know what you're gonna find, and that's the fun of it. This planter cracks me up. So these were made blank and you could paint them and DIY them yourself. It looks like it's from 1977, $1.99. And what cracks me up about these is I've seen them probably 10 different color palettes. So it's always fun to see how someone else interpreted it and made it their own. This is a pretty hand-painted platter. Let's see, it is 99 cents. You guys, the pricing here in Montana is unreal. Everyone says Oregon has the best Goodwills, but I'm finding some pretty good pieces for pretty good prices here. One of the most rustic things that I decorate with are old cutting boards. I always look for these at garage sales and thrift stores because you can find some that have true character. I actually personally like when they've got burns and markings and lots of knife cuts in them. But the one thing I'm always looking for is the shape. Finding those amazing pillows at Golden Girls has given me some hope that I'm gonna find some great fabric or textiles here in Montana. I have a couple chairs back at home that I'm looking for a really good fabric to recover them in. This is not the right color palette for what I'm looking for, but how beautiful would this be if you recovered a couple chairs or stools with it? And they're only asking $1.99.
The weather is really interesting because a storm is coming in, but it's also really hot right now. So it's this weird in-between state. I'm kind of excited to see what happens with this storm. I don't know about you guys, but I love a good thunderstorm. I'm just glad I didn't go out on the pontoon boat with the rest of the crew today, and I'm in town thrifting because I don't think you want to be on a pontoon boat when it's a storm. I just pulled up to the Good Samaritan thrift store and this place looks like it's really large. So I'm excited to see what the pricing is like here. At Goodwill, it was so good. So I'm hopeful that this whole town is just gonna have really good pricing.
This is starting off to a really good start, a cute little mid-century side table here as soon as I walked in the door. They've got $20 on this, and I don't really need any more side tables. I have, I think, more than I need at my house right now. In fact, I'm gonna be bringing a couple to the vintage market that I'm doing in a few weeks. So I'm gonna pass on it, but I hope someone comes and finds this. It's here in Helena, Montana, waiting for you for only $20. One thing I'm always looking for is lighting, and I'm really excited about the vintage market I'm doing because my friend Courtney and I are gonna have an entire backdrop filled with mid-century lighting, and I can't wait to show you guys what we create. Red and orange are not my colors, and they were used a lot during the mid-century era, but this California pottery always is very collectible and does really well. So I'm gonna pick that up for any of you guys out there who might be into the more stimulating colors of orange and red. Something that a lot of you guys have asked me over the years is, do I have a budget when I'm out thrifting, or do I just kind of go wild and buy whatever I love? And it's definitely a combination of the two. When I go on these longer trips where I know I'm going to be spending a lot of money, like I did on my Oregon coast trip, I do have to set a budget for myself. And I don't set a specific budget per day or per location or per city. Typically, the way that I like to do it is I set a budget for the entire trip. And as I start getting towards the end of the trip and my funds start running out, you have to be really picky, and you have to make sure that you're making good decisions in what you buy. You've got to look at your return investment, but you also have to look at just how much do you love the piece. Personally, I like to pick pieces that I think are beautiful and that I think someone else is really gonna love and keep in their home and hold on to. And that's part of how I decide what I'm gonna buy and what I'm not gonna buy. This little wooden shelf thing is cool, but it's missing all of the parts for it. It's only $2, but I don't know, now I'm on the fence. I think I'll put it in my cart just in case I find the parts. It would be really great if you actually were able to find test tubes that were the exact size, and you could use this as a propagation station too. These little mid-century kitty earring holders are so adorable. This one is only $1. And what you do is you just take your earrings and you poke them in these little holes right here. And it's just a great way to display your earrings and keep track of them. Because I don't know about you, but I tend to lose earrings if I don't actually have them in a holder. I love onyx. These are classic mid-century salt and pepper shakers. The only problem is I'm hoping that that dollar mark comes off of that. I'm pretty sure that with a little bit of maybe Windex or even just warm soapy water, it will come off. I am not giving up on the spice rack yet. Hopefully I'll find the little containers somewhere over here in the kitchen aisle. And alas, I did not find them. So sad. Every thrift store seems to have something that's kind of extra special about it. And I would say the best thing about this Good Samaritan would probably be the picture frame and art selection. They had 2 huge areas just packed with art. They had just bins and bins full of art. So I had to take a little bit of time to flip through here because you never know what you're gonna find in one of these boxes. This would be a really cute frosted mirror too. I'm not really into the frame, but if you took it out of the frame and just put the mirror on the wall, I think that could be really cute. I am always down for a good wicker basket to put your wine bottles in. They make wonderful gifts instead of taking a bottle of wine in a kind of cheesy paper bag. But another thing I love about them is that if you go on a picnic, you can actually set your wine bottle in there and you don't have to worry about tipping it over. Not that that's ever happened to me. Handmade by me. That's a cute tag. They've got 2 huge bins full of textiles. I'm hoping that I can dig down to the bottom and find some good stuff in here. I love 1970s dramatic floral pillows and couches. One of my favorite finds from a couple years ago was a $10 velvet floral couch with a honeycomb design. And I took the rolling wheels off of it, put on some great little peg legs, and you wouldn't believe what a difference it made styling it up. The colors on this one are great. It's only 50 cents. So I am going to dig through this bin and see if I can find a matching one because as you know, a pair is always better. They have art for days. This would have been a great place for me to come back when I had my online picture frame shop on Etsy because behind me, what you can't see is an entire wall full of frames that have nothing in them. So this is definitely a place if you are a local and you're looking for frames or art, you need to come check this one out. Whenever I go on trips, I like to get souvenirs from the thrift stores. I don't buy them from the souvenir shops. And I fell in love with this beautiful grizzly bear picture. It is from the 60s, let's see, 1969. It's $10, but a lot of the items are half off today. So for $5, I think that this photo is gonna be my Montana souvenir. Unfortunately, I didn't see any real grizzly bears, so this is just gonna have to do it for me. You know what I would do with this cabinet right here? I would turn that into an adorable mini bar. It's the perfect size for it, and it's got the glass so you can display your glasses inside. I was walking to go to the checkout stand when I realized that the front of the store on the opposite side I came in is where they set aside all of the vintage and antiques. And I almost missed this entire section. Thankfully, I spotted it and I beelined it over to the Pottery because you guys know I love to get pottery. One of the things I'm really into right now is mixing and matching with colors and patterns. And one of the best ways to do that is to take different neutral things and put them together. But I'm also all for a dramatic standalone piece. I think this pot is really fabulous. That is all hand painted on it. It has these 3 little pedestal feet, and it has a lid with it too, so it could be used as a canister, but it could also have the lid taken off and be used as a planter. I think this might end up in Little Italy. I'm not sure, but we'll see. I love a good 1970s pottery craft drippy glaze piece. This one is designed by Robert Maxwell, I believe. I've never had one like this before with the lid. I've had quite a few of the vases before, including some really dramatic large ones. But this one is in perfect condition. It literally looks like it has never been used or even taken out of the box. I'm getting a little bit out of my color palette comfort zone, but these cups right here look like fall in a glass. I think these would be perfect to take to the vintage market.
It looks like the storm has arrived. It's coming in pretty fast. I'm kind of a little worried about the guys out on the boat. A first getting serenaded in a pawn shop, and I just got to tell you guys that there's something so special about life when you are just open to everything and everyone, and I swear it just brings the right people to you. And I just got to meet the most wonderful man named Baron Stewart, and he's a musician, and he played his original song for me. Meeting Baron was just wonderful. He is such a cool guy, and if you guys are in Helena, Montana, or you're coming through this town, you've got to stop and check out Capitol Pawn, because he was wonderful. He took great care of me on the pricing on the jewelry, but more than that, we had great conversation. It's just so fun to meet new people and hear about the things that they've done in their life and that positive outlook on life. He is a very special guy, and if you guys do stop in there, please tell him that Laura says hi. I got some incredible pieces there. This cuff is so stunning. It has coral, and then it has this beautiful green turquoise with the center stone being this large bright blue turquoise stone. Beautiful artisan sign piece. And then check this beauty out right here. That is a carved eagle in the turquoise, and this one is also signed. So beautiful. I am just so thrilled with my finds here.
I did not realize until I was checking out at Golden Girls that the pillows were half off. I was totally prepared to pay the $39 each, and I still felt like that was a pretty good deal, but they ended up only being $19. So I was like, yes! I'm not sure where I'm gonna use them yet. I kind of think they'd be really pretty on a couch in Little Italy, surrounded by plants everywhere. But I just realized, oh my gosh, I know where I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna put them in my hammock. That will be so pretty. The contrast with the cream and the green trees. All right, let's go decorate. Jesse and I passed so many towns, and as we got to northern Idaho, all of a sudden I honed in on this one little picturesque, perfect looking town, and I said, what is that town? We have to come back here and go to this town. So I'm on the Wikipedia page and I'm reading everything about Wallace, Idaho. And I'm like, there's silver mines. We have to come here. Something about this place is calling me. And when I got home, I was talking about it with my dad. And he was like, yeah, Wallace, Idaho. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, that's where we went and toured the silver mines. Don't you remember? And I was like, that was Idaho? This was one of my favorite trips from my childhood. And I thought it was in Nevada for some reason. We did a road trip to a monument convention and I made a new best friend because we both had the exact same Mickey Mouse swimsuit on. I was 6.5 years old and I remember just playing in that pool all day with her. While we were there, they were filming a movie called Dante's Peak. So it was really unique because all of the restaurants and businesses had false fronts on them for the movie set. So it was kind of weird walking around town. We were trying to figure out where's the restaurant we're trying to go to because it had a facade over the front of it. And I remember running around the silver mines with my little headlamp on and my older brothers. So it's just hilarious that that place stuck out to me as we drove by it because I think it was kismet. I think it was meant to be. I was supposed to remember this place and I'm so looking forward to doing a trip back there. And when I do, I'm gonna take you guys into the silver mines with me. In our next adventure, I'm gonna be taking you guys to Central Oregon. Now, I've shown you the Oregon coast, but Central Oregon is a lot more like a desert, and there's gonna be lots of critters. See you guys there soon in the next episode.